Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and this is how to use Scizor. Scizor is a very strong Pokemon, one of the strongest Pokemon in the game, in my opinion, and mostly because its stat distribution is so good. The way you're going to be playing Scizor is that it doesn't need that special attack or speed stat too much, and then the other stats are just incredible. 80 special defense, 100 on the defense, so it has a lot of natural bulk, and then 130 attack. This Pokemon is going to be a very annoying Pokemon and a very easy Pokemon to set up. When it Mega Evolves, its stats get even better. That it has 150 base attack, some of the highest in the game, 140 defense, some of the highest in the game, and then a really good special defense to make it work. If its hit points were any higher, this Pokemon would just be truly unstoppable. Looking at its typing, the typing helps a lot to make this Pokemon unstoppable. That it's only weak against fire. It's 4 times weak against fire, so hitting it with fire pretty much means that it's going to get KO'd. But if you or your opponent doesn't have fire and the other person brings a Scizor, it doesn't matter because they've pretty much won the battle. Because of its steel typing, it also gets a ton of resistances. Normal, bug, steel grass, psychic, ice, dragon, and fairy. And then also just has those normal hits from fighting, flying, ground, rock, ghost, water, electric, dark. The typing is so crisp that it only has that one weakness, and if you can do a lot to avoid that, have a flash fire Pokemon on your team for the easy absorption, it just starts to get really out of hand. Hopping into Pokemon Showdown, we start to see what really makes Scizor out of hand, and that's the Technician ability. Pokemon's attack of 60 base power or less do 50% more damage. Well, pretty much your bread and butter is going to be from Bullet Punch. Usually goes first, it's going to get Stab and that Technician boost, and you have that huge offensive you have the huge attack stat, so you can make a lot of it work. Some people will run the Choice Band set that you go Choice Band, Bullet Punch. That's going to have a lot of 2-hit KO potential, Superpower for some coverage, U-turn, and then knockoff. So if you don't like it, you can U-turn, still get a good amount of damage off because Scizor's attack is just that high. Or you can just go for the knockoff, remove an item, and get some extra damage while trying to shuffle through what your opponent has to offer. But this isn't the main way people run Scizor. You'll see this one every once in a while, but the main way is pretty much you're going to set up Swords Dance until your opponent goes away. That by investing 252 into hit points, the rest into attack, and then that 1 point wherever you want it with an Adamant Nature, you're pretty much guaranteeing yourself 1, maybe even 2 Swords Dance, and then you can hide behind Bullet Punch and essentially 1-hit KO everything your opponent has. That your attack is so grossly high, and you're not going to be, and if they don't have fire, you're going to be a 3-hit KO Pokemon under most circumstances. So the idea here is that, I like running Citrus Berry personally. You can run Life Orb, but I like the Citrus Berry because it lets you get that 2 Swords Dances, and then now your attack is going to be around 1200 attack. Bullet Punch is going to get that Technician boost, and then you can also have Roost. That by using Roost, if they're not 2-hit KOing you, now you just get some health back, you become even more of an annoyance, and then Scizor for just the coverage and super final one-hitting stab kind of move. After that, we also have a couple of other things I was thinking about. I've never really seen this set, but I think it could be a really fun set personally. That you go max special defense, max hit points, defensive nature since it's going to get the most out of your nature, and you use Iron Defense with Swords Dance. So now you're going to be even harder to KO, but your attack is going to be 100 points lower. So you're going to need to get those 3 Swords Dances to have as much offensive bulk, but you're going to be much harder to KO. However, the main problem with this set is that if they use a Fire-type move on you, any defensive boost is kind of not worth it because you're getting KO'd. Unless it's a physical Fire-type move and you already have 1 or 2 Iron Defense, then there's actually a chance of this working. So the idea here is you get that +3 on Swords Dance, and then you just go for the Bullet Punch and 1-hit KO everything, while just having the incredible setup. Also, yeah, just to talk a bit more about Life Orb on this one. Life Orb is so that you pretty much can just go 1 Swords Dance and start getting KOs from there instead of having to go for that second one. It is a bit riskier because it does put you in a potential 2-hit KO situation with the Life Orb, and it does make it to where you are taking that extra damage, but the bonus damage on Life Orb is where you trade off. For running Mega Scizor, you can essentially do the same exact thing, that instead of Citrus Berry or Life Orb, you're going to just get more stats overall, that your attack is getting a nice boost, and your defenses make it to where you're harder to KO, so you can set up an easier Swords Dance into Roost and all that. Also, not saying that you run Defog on Mega Scizor exclusively, but Scizor and Mega Scizor, you can run them a bit more supportive. with knockoff, with defog, you can go roost, and also have just like a lot of staying power that you're not going to be setting up to go for that super hard bullet punch sweep, because a lot of people do bring fire. You just kind of see it as an option. You know, Scizor is very bulky. It's going to be a very safe and reliable Pokemon to set up defog to remove those hazards, and it's also going to have a lot of other things that it can bring to the table from there. So Scizor on that regard is really strong, but pretty much you're going to be running Adamant Nature with the hit point attack investment on any set, and I have heavy preference on the Swords Dance because 1 or 2 Swords Dance and you essentially can win the game from there. If you get 3, that's a one-hit KO on almost anything your opponent can bring, and it just shows that if they don't have fire, if they don't heavily resist you on that bullet punch, it's over. And then the other one is just that Scizor set with the max hit points, defense, and special defense, that, you know, you go for that iron defense, and you're just going to be absurd. Even, actually, with this setup, you can even go for more of the special defensive nature, that with the, careful, you can just kind of use that iron defense, have an insane amount of special defense, insane amount of hit points, and then you have that roost combo into Swords Dance, Bullet Punch, Iron Defense, and it's just a very strong Pokemon. So, kind of showing all the sides of Scizor. You can just run in, attack with Choice Band, you can try to find some heavy damage setup, you can go for the tankier setups, you can go for the more supportive Scizor, and it's just, it has so much utility, so much versatility, and if you can't immediately answer it with some kind of fire type Pokemon or some fire type move, it's over. That's going to be free Swords Dance, that's going to be priority Bullet Punch you can't really ignore, and that's going to be KOs for days. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and that's how you use Scizor.